YTPC. So, a lot of you guys been asking how I go about cutting. Do I use a meat slicer? Anything fancy for my twists or my plugs? And for some reason, I can't get my camera to focus like you guys can. I don't know if it's just my phone, what it is, but I can't do close-ups. But I figured throw together a little video. I don't do anything fancy. I just use a good sharp knife. I do 2 different cuts depending on what it is and what I'm doing with it. So turn you guys down so you can see. Got stuff laid out. When I'm dealing with a really full piece, when it's not whittled down to this much, I love my cleaver. Got this for butchering. I keep it stupid sharp, and it works wonderful for shaving just very thin flakes off. Same with my chef's knife. But when it gets this small, I go for the cheap, as thin as possible, as flat as possible edge. So for smoking, I shave them nice and thin, rub them out and whatnot. Just nice even pressure, or break it in half, I guess. Works too. But it's nice even, as thin as I can get it, and I usually don't end up with a full-size flake per se. I end up with just real thin ribbons, almost like a shag cut, I guess you'd call it. But if I'm trying to get something that looks good, that could be a stuffer. If you follow me on Facebook or seen any of my stuff on the pages, I'll cut them nice and thick. I'd normally be doing it with this one, but it's about dangerous trying to cut this small of a plug up. But you end up with this nice thick flake, which in turn they do smoke well. You gotta rub them out, take a little bit longer to dry, and they look really good. By the way, what I'm cutting up here is my Nicolat brownie, and it's 70% Latakia, 15% free, 15% dark fired Kentucky. This one I should have named the Bad Day Blend, because if you need that Nick hit to get your mood set right, this is the one to grab. Now with twists, at least with mine, usually with store-bought ones, like Sam Gawith Double X Black, I'll use my cigar cutter. It fits through beautifully. My twists end up being too big. They just don't go in. Maybe if I buy one with a bigger ring size, be able to. But with the twists, actually kind of take it, straighten the leg out, twist her a little bit tighter just so everything holds together. Same kind of thing. I'll use and with mine being hand rolled, not machine, like all the major companies, I don't end up with quite as nice coins, but that's pretty thick. We're smoking, go thin, and with a nice thin shag cut, I'll just run through a few times. Even with the cleaver on these. These are a little bit softer, so the cleaver pushes a little bit more, but with how sharp I keep my knives, it still does pretty darn well. I just kind of go through and clean up the edges before I put it back and store it. But this one is my Wild Twist. It's a Balkan flavor, a lot of Orientals, good amount of Virginia, not so much Latakia, and then a good ribbon of the wild tobacco in it. Another one, it's good and strong. Still nice and moist in the middle. I blend wet, like I've said before. My stuff always needs a good dry time. I just kind of go through, fold it about, get a good mix on it. Layer out flat. I usually use a different cutting board, but since I was showing a few, I figured I'd use the bigger one. But like with the thicker ones I cut, I'm trying to do it for presentation, trying to make it look good. I'll go through and essentially cube cut it. I have a few pipes that actually enjoy it or smoke better with cube cuts versus ribbons or shags. Same with the plugs. Go through. They're a lot denser. You don't just slice. You gotta kind of rock it back and forth and push through. This guy comes in, a lot more weight to it. But you don't need nothing fancy to cut up tobacco. See, a lot of guys use the Opinels or Opals or however you say it. And I don't see any problem with using those. Real thin, really easy to keep an edge on. Or get a good edge on. Be able to, if you have any sharpening abilities at all. No, not everybody is decent with sharpening a knife, but most can get it pretty close, even with a store-bought drag-through sharpener. But that's just a short video. I'm actually starting to like this one a lot more. My wife's gonna be mad at me because this is one of her favorites for in the kitchen, but just keep it clean, I keep it sharp. Be able to really get thin little flakes off. But this one here is one of the first plugs I actually ever made. So it's in English. When I say it's great, no. Is it smokable? Yes. But cutter's super thin. Nope. Lost some light. Still looks like we got a good picture though. Still really moist in the middle. Just kind of rub it out like you would any other flake if you're one that likes to rub. And even with these, if you just, they take less amount of time to dry. Thinner the better. Folding stuff, enjoy. Did have one guy that was wanted more info on the pipe I was smoking the other day. This one in question. Let's bring it up. So, just a little cob foolery. left the shank in this bowl, just cut her short. I don't know if you'll be able to see in there. It's pretty well flush with the inside of this bowl. Still just how Missouri Meerschaum does it. Shanks in the bottom of this bowl. Made it removable for cleaning purposes. It's all just friction fitted together. A little bit of heat with some pipe cleaners in there to keep the airway open. Reason I made this is I'm a huge fan of Church Wardens. Love the way they smoke. Don't like how I can't clench them. Well, this little guy, being an extra long chin setter, she hangs by herself without any problem. It's a lot of fun. Got the cobs from Amazon. It was pretty inexpensive for a lot. And I thought maybe I could actually make my own bowls out of them. They're not nearly big enough, but they work great for shanks. So there's that. Still completely amazed by this community, the YTPC. Bunch of great guys. Getting shout outs left and right from folks. Trying to figure out a way to repay, but without doing just shout out after shout out for everybody. I think come the fall, there's going to be a lot of samples going out to a lot of people. I appreciate everyone that's subscribed, liked, commented, asked questions, ask more questions. It's one of the fun parts about this is actually being able to talk with some folks. I am on Boxer now. Just look up Frozen Backy Blender or my name, Clint Kinden, KLINT, KINDEN. The Pirate Plug is still in the vise. It'll probably come out today to go in the C-clamp. I can't get any more pressure on it, so that's probably where it's going next. I'll do a quick video on that. I've kind of mashed a few together so far of tightening it. Put it in the C-clamp. We'll talk more about it then. Keep tuned in. Keep subbing. Go sub some new people. Go find a page or a person that you've never seen before. See what they're like. Give them a sub. Encourage them like you guys have been encouraging me. Once again, the YTPC is a great community. Thank you, everybody, and keep it smoky.